Home Secretary Priti Patel says there is no way back for ISIS bride Shamima Begum. After she renewed her plea to return to the UK, she says she is a changed woman.
Also prompted calls whether the babies of British Islamic State brides of fighters should be brought back to the UK.
Well, joining us now is former senior Met police officer Dal Babu, who thinks children should not be punished for the crimes of their parents. Alongside him, Brian Wood, who served in Iraq and Afghanistan and thinks ISIS children should not be allowed in the UK. You were awarded a military cross, weren't you, Brian, for your service? And you are very concerned about the return of these youngsters. I mean, in some cases, they're babies, but because you've seen the effect of combat on them in those awful situations.
And it is a sad state of affairs, them living in them camps. And look, I'm humane. I'm a father myself, and I understand that. However, what concerns me is if we bring the children back into the UK, what stepping stone does that then provide the fighters, ISIS fighters, the mother and fathers of them children later on?
You think it's like a doorway? My child is back in the UK, therefore I should have a right to come back.
Absolutely.
As a right to family
and
life.
There will be loopholes, like there is in everything to do with human rights law. There'll be something which will give a foot in for these fighters who are radicalised and who have also caused us, the United Kingdom, carnage in the past. And
all right, so Dal, this is, look, we've debated this before about you're good friends with one of these ISIS brides, and we've talked about that before. We don't agree about that. I don't think she should be allowed back. I respect that you feel differently about that. The children is a slightly more complicated issue. You know, the issue, I guess, is they're born predominantly in Syria or Iraq, perhaps, but they may have British grandparents, they may have some background here. What's the law about this in relation to these children?
Well, they're British citizens because they will get citizenship from their parents. But I think what we need to be really understanding, we should not be punishing the children for the failures of their parents. And essentially what we have is we're a compassionate country. Why on earth would you go from the fifth richest country in this world, dragged away from your friends and family, from the country that you enjoy living in, you're dragged away by your parents to a war-torn country?
Well, what if you're then in this war-torn country for many years, you're witnessing atrocities, you get indoctrinated, brainwashed, if you like, by older ISIS fighters. You're now 14, 15, right? You're becoming an adult.
You love your parents and everything they've taught you.
I would say there's a clear and an obvious danger in bringing young men of that age in particular back into the country who may have seen their father killed, their relatives killed, and may perceive us in their heads as the enemy. Surely it can't be right in that circumstance to just say, back you come.
Well, I think you need to look at the two issues very separately. The issues of the parents who made the decision to go, and then the issue of the children who would have gone and been forced to go, often being victims of domestic violence, been taken away from their friends and families, taken from an area that they enjoy. So I think what you need to do is distinguish between the two. I mean, I've never met Shamima Begum. I was brought in by the family.
You know the family, yeah.
I know the family, and basically what happened was that there was an opportunity for the police. The Metropolitan Police were aware she was being radicalised. Tower Hamlets Council were aware she was being radicalised. The school were aware that she was being radicalised. Two of the girls from that school had actually gone to Syria, but they decided not to. But if I can finish this point here, they did not tell the parents.
Right.
And I think...
I get that. That's a failure of the system. I get that. Yeah. However, Brian, she went out there and she basically offered comfort and succour to these ISIS fighters who were out killing people on our side of this war and doing so in a most disgusting, revolting jihadist way, cutting heads off, stoning people to death, you know, etc., etc. I don't want these ISIS brides, for want of a better phrase, allowed back in this country because I think, no, sorry, you betrayed this country when you did what you did. And all the moaning, whiny interviews they're now giving, they don't cut any ice with me. What do you feel as somebody who's had to actually fight for your country?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, if a decision's made and we're going to have to go out and extract these children, that's a whole operational mission in itself, and that's putting British soldiers'
I'm told the SAS are going to have to go and do this, right? I don't want the SAS on a mission that may risk their lives to bring back ISIS brides to this country. I'm sorry, I just don't.
No, totally. And also, when we talk about radicalisation as well, you know, in 2004, we had a 6-year-old child throw a petrol bomb off a building onto a good friend of mine's head, which then he's now got life-changing injuries. And that's
Where did that happen?
in Iraq. So that's what we're dealing with. I mean, these children, I sympathise with the children. I've got 2 young boys of my own, and I totally get it.
Yeah.
But we have got to really, really have a think on how we can deal with it.
It's a huge concern, isn't it? That what these children have seen will have made a massive impression on them, and what they might have been pressured to do might lead
but
them.
If these kids as well are going to go into care...
But they're damaged. Nobody's going to say that these children aren't damaged. But when I was a police officer, I would go into homes where you'd have drug addicts, you'd have alcoholics, you'd have people who are abusive to children, and actually you'd take those children away because you do not blame those children who are
So you wouldn't return these kids then if they came back, say the very young ones, right? The babies, the 3-year-olds, the 4-year-olds and so on. You know, as a father of 4, I would not have no compassion for those kids. I would have compassion for them. It's where we would put them and who we'd put them with. I would feel very uncomfortable about putting them back with their family members.
Yeah, no,
or in schools, or in care homes.
Right.
These kids are traumatized.
Where they might be ripe for people approaching them to radicalise them, using what's happened to their families on the battlefield.
If you've got young people, you know, the fact that they have been taken from the 5th richest country in a war-torn country means that those parents are not fit to be parents. They should be taken away from those families.
Into care.
Into care, but will the rights, human rights law, so they won't have any links with them growing up with their parents?
Yes, because that was Brian's first point, of course.
Because
it's a very valid point.
Because, the internet nowadays, the phone calls, you know, and these parents will be radicalising them. They will be indoctrinating them to hate.
Well, and if you look at now, almost every single individual who went there realises that they were radicalised and they were grouped. And I think the children had no choice.
But Dal, we're taking their word for it. We don't know that they're any different. We just know that they want a comfortable life back here now.
But if you focus on the children...
Now the caliphate's been destroyed.
But if you focus on the children...
Suddenly they don't believe anymore.
It's
I'm sorry.
Unbelievably difficult about the little ones.
I don't trust them. I don't believe them. I think it's an easy thing to say. They want to come back, and the alternative in Syria is pretty grim for them. I get it.
And the bottom line
so
is...
it should be after what they did.
And the bottom line as well is we, as a United Kingdom, have been hit hard in the past with terror.
Yeah.
And we've got to really consider that.
Essentially, these are children. I think that's really...
I agree. I think
innocent.
What would be the age limit?
Well, I think
they're not all innocent. You know, I've witnessed.
But
I've witnessed
we have no evidence that these children.
Well, I've got evidence because one of my friends is.
We have no evidence that the children that have been the children of jihadi fighters that have gone from this country. We have no evidence whatsoever that they have been radicalised.
Well, he just told a story.
Well,
about
that's a 5-year-old. Was that 5-year-old
one of
the children that was taken from this country?
So you're telling me parents don't influence their children?
Was that 5-year-old?
So you're telling me you're telling me
was that 5-year-old from that country?
We don't know. Right, I think is the honest answer. It's a complicated issue. Thank you for the debate. It will continue to be debated. Important debate to have. You can't have a lack of compassion in this country, but nor can we be a soft touch to people who thought it was fine to go and do stuff that destroyed British lives, which is what a lot of these people were doing.